But yeah, they've definitely made it hard for themselves. And, I really like Freo, but I wouldn't mind them missing the top 8 just to see you, cop a little bit. So we'll see what happens.
Touche, mate. Touche. Well said. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the GameDay Squad YouTube channel. We're here for the Aussie Rule show. It's round 3, and apologies that we're a little bit late this week, but I've had to pull all the boys in together. I've got Callum with me today. Unfortunately, Kerm is not here. Callum, mate, how are you going?
Yeah, really good. Shameful that Kerm can't be here. I think he's still struggling with back-to-back losses for the Suns. As you guys would have known, he was quite optimistic coming into the start of this year, and already 2 games in, he just doesn't even want to bar a footy. So I'm really nervous for him. They've got the Cats this week. We might never see Kerm back on this show again. So yeah, we'll stay tuned to see if he pops his face around.
Oh, mate, I'll definitely be having my thoughts with Kerm this week as well, as he's got to try to prepare for Geelong. That is a tough matchup. But today, we're going to be looking at a player's performance from a fantasy perspective and other fantasy breakdowns to help you all get game day ready. So let's get right into it. Callum, you're going to take it away this week with our pack of the week.
Oh, yeah. So pack of the week this week. You guys, we changed it up. We didn't want it always just to be best pack. So with this week, we wanted the stinkiest pack that someone could send in. And as you guys can see there, that one from Dizzer on Discord is an absolute lemon of a pack. We had some awesome submissions this week, a few absolute stinkers, but that one takes the cake. There just isn't much going there. I try to argue with the boys and say that gold Josh Sin in 5 years might be good, but they didn't want a bar of it. So yeah, it hurts. Probably the best that worst pack of the week has 3 Port players after their weekend's performance. So yeah, congratulations, Dizzer. You've got a few packs coming your way. Tom, I believe for this next pack though, we're actually going to go. We want the best young gun pack for this week. So the submissions, we don't care if you get a Jack Steele or if you get a Dustin Martin. We want young guns. Our young guns have just come into the game, so we want to see a pack with the best rookies in it. So that's going to be the criteria this week, so make sure you're sending them in on our Discord. If you're not there already, make sure you join. The link is below. It's the best place to jump on and talk all things Game Day Squad Fantasy.
Took the words right out of my mouth, mate. Absolutely. And the young guns, we're a dynasty platform, so that's who you want really in your packs, isn't it? So send through your best ones, and hopefully, good luck to everyone who participates. But let's get into our question of the round. So we're in round 3. We've seen how a couple teams play, some players play in maybe some new roles, existing roles. I want to know, what's your question for this round? What are you looking at?
Me, it's quite simple this week, and it's definitely a personal one with my squad, and that's who fills the Jack Steele-sized hole in my midfield now that he's out for the next month with that broken collarbone. So what I've got on screen there is you can actually see the different players I have available for me. Yeah, so I've got Gold Merritt, Rao, and Mills. I've got a Platinum Brayshaw that I could be running through, and I've also got a Silver Mitchell or Neal if I want to downgrade. But the person I think I need is Clayton Oliver. So I've got the transfer market there, but those cards at the moment are not cheap and they're in high demand. So I'm going to have to make a tough decision. Do I potentially try and sell some of those cards? Do I try and trade some of them to get my hands on a Clayton Oliver? Because as you know, Tom, I made a trade about this time last week. I traded out my silver Clayton Oliver for a silver Dawson, and I thought I was a genius for it. No, I'm not. I'm a bit of a clown this week. So
massive regrets.
Yeah, that's my question of the week. That's what I'm going to try and solve. Yeah, big time.
Dude, great question. And I think a lot of people out there are going to be having that same issue as well with Jack Steele, because he's just such a weapon. And as you mentioned, he goes down with a broken collarbone and he still led all scorers in the game for fantasy. So that just goes to prove the impact that he does have when he is playing. For me, though, I'm looking at one of my preseason predictions and I'm going to bring it forth again because I thought it was weapon at the time, and I'm like, I'm a visionary looking into the future, like this is going to happen, and it's been really horrible. And that was the Fremantle Dockers. We're going to finish first on the ladder for the season and potentially go all the way and be fighting for a premiership. And look, after the first 2 weeks, mate, I don't think that statement could be further from the truth. They didn't have the hardest schedule, let's be honest. they should be winning that. And they've got a West Coast derby this week, and I'm seriously worried that they could start this season 0-3. And if they lose this game against West Coast, then there's honestly just no clawing back from where they're going to be. It's going to take something miraculous. So what's your thoughts on that? Are you also concerned for Freo, or are you optimistic?
Yeah, definitely concerned. We knew it was going to be tight for the top 8, and you can't be starting 0-3. Definitely can't be starting 0-3. 0-2 obviously isn't good. I'm in the same boat with you. I had Brayshaw down as the MVP for this year, and I had him as my tip for the Brownlow. That's not looking very good at the moment, but I still believe in him, and I still think there's enough talent in that Freo side that they can turn it around. But yeah, they've definitely made it hard for themselves, and I really like Freo, but I wouldn't mind them missing the top 8 just to see you cop a little bit. So we'll see what happens.
Touche, mate. Touche. Well said. But let's get into one of the spiciest parts of the episode. It's called the hot seat. So what we do here is we're going to place players in the hot seat who, let's say, haven't been performing up to standards or up to expectations for the season. So we're going to name off a couple players, go through their stats, and then give you our thoughts on not only this season, but maybe long term. Because, of course, we have that dynasty platform. So we're always looking towards the future as well. But I might start it off this week with a young gun. He might qualify for Pack of the Week if you pull him. His name is Nick Martin. He is a forward for the Essendon Bombers. He had a stellar 2022. He came out of nowhere. Not too many people had Nick Martin on their radars, and he really just blitzed it from round one. Was very impressive. High disposal rate, very involved in that midfield, which was stacked at the time at Parrish and Merritt. Looked like a jet. But this year has been a different story. He's averaging 8.5 kicks a game, 8.5 handballs, 3.5 marks, half a goal, 1.5 tackles. So I beg the question, Callum. Nick Martin, mate, what are your thoughts on him? After such a ripper year last year, can he turn this around? Is he still on your radar long term? Just break it down for me.
Yeah, long term, he's still someone I want to have just in case he does get hot. But he was never someone I was looking at to have in my top 6 this year for my forwards. Never crossed my mind to be really honest with you. I just, as a forward, you want to know that they're either going to get a lot of midfield time or that their team's going to be very good and they can hurt the scoreboard. So Essendon have started the year well, but yeah, I just don't think that Essendon's a team I'm going to back for the rest of the season. So I just don't see Nick Martin this year. However, I'm not ruling out for future years.
Hey, don't hit me with that Essendon. You had Zach Merritt as one of your options to replace Jack Steele. I know you're looking at that team, mate. There's still some options in there, surely.
Yeah, but he plays in the midfield. He's going to eat midfield minutes, whereas Nick Martin, as a forward, he needs to be kicking goals or getting that midfield time. And like you just said, he just hasn't been to start the year. So yeah, someone that I think if people were hoping for a lot more from him, they would have been quite disappointed, and yeah, rightfully so on the hot seat.
Yeah, absolutely. And my quick opinion on this is that I do have concerns for this season, but very similar to Callum, I don't think it's a player that I would have been starting in my forward line, at least at the start of the year. If he got into form midway through the season or, showed some promising signs early, then maybe I could have made that change or a sub. But long term, I'm still very optimistic on Nick Martin. He proved how good he can be when he has the ball in his hands. And I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed right now at Essendon in that midfield, and he's just getting pushed out that little bit. But as the years go on, he should really cement his role in there and get more minutes, and that in turn will equal more fantasy points. So long term, thumbs up.
Yeah, nice. Well, I've got a forward as well this week, Tom, that I want to throw on the hot seat, and that is my boy, Zachy Butters, who, much like the rest of his team on Saturday, had a shocking fantasy game. He played all right, round one. I reckon he'd be my forward 6 at the moment, and I think we've missed our teams. We're going to get back into them in just a second, where we'll be able to dive into how he went. But he was a big disappointment for me. He definitely hurt my forward line, and there's a lot of chat around where he fits in, what his role's like with Boak sort of in that half forward and midfield rotation. We've got Horn Francis in there. We've got Rosie in there. Pal Pepper does it as well. There's a lot of mouths to feed at Port Adelaide, and we always think that this guy is going to, he's in the team because of the potential. We know how good he can be, but He's definitely on the hot seat because it's a hotly contested forward six at the moment, and you just can't afford to be having too many dud performances. So I love him, but Zachy Butters is the one on my hot seat this week.
And fair enough. I think your analysis there was pretty spot on. Looking at the start of the season in round one, it seemed like all Port players were up and about. Let's be honest. If you looked at the fantasy scores for the game, it was completely dominated by Port Adelaide. But the week two was a completely different story, and quite frankly, it was quite the opposite. It was completely dominated by Collingwood, and Port Adelaide were just nowhere to be seen at the top. So, yeah, I do have worries about Butters, but long term, absolutely not. He's a jet. The guy is so skilled. He is so good.
Yeah, definitely don't be selling your Butters cards. Yeah, don't be selling them. You'd be silly to be doing that. But yeah, he can sit on my bench until he gets his form or until he gets that consistency back.
Yeah, spot on, mate. But let me get into another one then. I want to throw a defender now on the hot seat, and his name is Isaac Cumming. He's a defender for the Greater Western Sydney Giants. Now, if you followed along with the show last year, you're an absolute champion. Shout out to you. But you would know that Isaac Cumming was a very, very regular player in my squad. I had him in there for a good majority of last year. I'd say about 80%. This year, though, let me run through your stats and let's break it down. Kicks, 14 average per game. 8 handballs, 2.5 marks, half a tackle. Not too impressive. Yeah, Callum, give me your thoughts. Can someone like Isaac Cumming still be in your roster? Or are you looking elsewhere? And long term, what do you do?
Long term, I still wouldn't be selling the cards I've got. I was just checking there. I've got a gold coming and a silver. I've got 2 silver comings. Hit me up if you want one of them. But I wouldn't be trying to get rid of him completely. But again, it's pretty stacked this year. And that's one of the things about Game Day Squads that's different to the other platforms. You really want players that are in the top 10 in their position. And if they're not, you kind of feel bad about having to piece other people in there. And yes, you got the different multipliers. So if you had, you're playing in the champion competition or the open competition, maybe you're playing your diamond coming because that's what you've got. But in the classic competition, I just can't justify putting him as a card, even as a bronze. So yeah, GWS is a funny one because I don't know what they look like long term. First year under a new coach. Are they going to be in a complete rebuild? Who knows if off the back flank, does he become the Lockie Whitfield role and start killing it? Who knows? But yeah, I don't imagine anyone would be playing Cumming if they had a choice this week.
And you're too right. As you mentioned, new coach, new system. I think we're sort of starting to see the effects of that in Isaac Cumming's game. And it's not too great. It's not too good. I can't be starting him with any confidence right now. And after week one, I subbed him out, and it looks like he won't be back for a good chunk of time. I'll be honest with you.
Not fair. Alrighty, Tom. So we are going to get into our team review from the weekend. So we missed this at the start of the show. We got too excited and got into everything else. That's at least what you told me. The truth is actually, though, I wanted to bury this because you beat me this week. I didn't want to get to it. I was hoping we could do the whole show without talking about it. But yeah, good on you for remembering it. But bringing up my score, I didn't think I had a bad week this week. You can see it on there. I came 60th overall. Yeah, 46th for the seasonal rank. I'm still thereabouts, but I finished below you, which I'm never happy about. But I'm still ahead of you on the seasonal ranks. You can see my low score there definitely was Zachy Butters. That 75 did hurt. But I had a pretty strong team across the board. I wasn't too upset with anyone else. Massive score there from Rory Laird. I've gone with the golds in the midfield. That helped. I just don't know. Doherty had a quiet game by Doherty standards, but there's no one else there I'm pointing to that I'm disappointed with. So kudos to those coaches, the 59 of you that are ahead of me, because, yeah, you must have a ripper team. I just couldn't keep up this week. So, yeah, bit of a weird one. Head back to the sheds, not really knowing how we lost, but we'll try and regroup and go again next week.
Oh, it's an awkward feeling, not knowing how to strategize from here to get better. But the competition, just want to give a shout out to it this year, has been fantastic. Some of the scores that some teams are putting up is just phenomenal. So people are really, really taking the time, putting in the effort to work out what's the best way to piece together their squad. Just kudos to them, as you mentioned. But to be fair, you say you didn't have a bad week, and I agree with you. It's 60 fantasy points and you're in the top 10. That's how close it is. So it's not like you're a
Yeah.
world off. It's not like you've made all these wrong decisions. Like, it's just that's how good the competition is getting this year, is that 60 points is the difference between, nearly 50 places in your ranking. So you got to make sure you put your best foot forward and making those decisions when it comes down to crunch time, because those points can hurt, losing them and letting them slip. But let me get into mine.
Definitely.
So I had a really good week this week. I bounced back. As you mentioned, last week you knocked me off, and it wasn't by much. It was close, but I made some silly decisions. Picked myself back up this week. Got 8th ranked with 2,354 as my score. I had the gold Rory Laird as well, which, you know what? Right before the lockout, I was seriously considering replacing him due to his round 1 performance. But I had a silver, so I was going to replace him and then, sort of downgrade the salary cap to then upgrade elsewhere. But that decision, I think, got me in the top 10 by not doing that. So thank goodness.
Yeah, you would have been below me.
Yeah, absolutely. But across the board, mate, I think my team is quite good. I left Liam Ryan in, and to be honest with you, that was an accident, but maybe not for the future. He's been playing pretty good, like, I can't lie.
Yeah, very bizarre that he got you the chocolates. It kind of annoys me that you played Liam Ryan and beat me, but hey, that's fantasy. So,
and honestly, the only concern I really had was either Liam Ryan and Caleb Daniel. I put Caleb Daniel in because he was taking a lot of the kickouts in round 1, didn't take as many in round 2, so I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that one. But most probably, if someone's going to be replaced, it's looking like it's going to be Caleb Daniel for sure. But I'm super pumped for round 3 already, mate. After that round concluded, I was so happy, saw all the scores. I'm ready to go. Get me back in, mate. Get us back to lockout.
yeah, well, we're doing, like you said, we're doing this show a little bit later in the week. So it's only tomorrow. Hopefully this show comes out on the Wednesday if Tom's good at his editing. But yeah, can't wait to get back in for another big week of footy.
Well, let's turn the mood, at least for you, because I had plenty of fun doing that segment, but you maybe not so much because, you had to face the reality of what happened. But this new reality you're about to get into, I think, is a little bit more favourable and you'll be a bit more energized with this one. So why don't you take it away, mate?
Definitely.
It's all yours.
Definitely. My favourite segment, Lock of the Round. Why is it my favourite segment? Because it shows that I pick better players than you and Kerm, as which I did again. So I picked Andy Brayshaw, told you he was going to have a big week. And once again, he had a big week. So you can see me sitting there second. Everyone got points on the board this week. Yourself and Kerm were both a little bit conservative with your points. But, obviously it worked out for you because you got the points. Followed my strategy from last week. Cam from the live show, from the Draft Doctors, he hit his score big. He had Jack Steele for 135, I believe. Jack Steele finished on 135 with that broken collarbone. So, yeah, well done to Cam. Just got the community over the line. So they're taking the lead at the moment. I'm very keen with. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different live show tomorrow night because there's a couple of us down in Sydney with something else for game day. But you are going to be taking the lead on that, Tom. So we're interested to see who we have tomorrow and if the community can keep up. But any comments you wanted to make before I give you my lock of the round for this week, before I go 3 from 3?
Wow. Love the confidence, first of all. But yeah, I do have some comments to make. Firstly, that Jack Steele pick was elite. And the fact that he got it on the dot with a broken collarbone, wow, that is something special.
Should be bonus points. Should be bonus points if you get it right. Yeah.
Facts. I actually agree with that. We might have to look into a ruling like that later, but community putting us in check right now, honestly, dominating. 2 from 2, really strong start. 2 great picks as well, but they've gone for Brayshaw and Steele on back-to-back rounds. So 2 of the premier players in the comp, let's say. And yourself, why don't you just take it away? You said you're going to go 3 from 3. I just need to hear who you're going to pick.
Yep. LDU is my pick this week. He's going to score 125 points at least. He's been in some hot form. He's not a player that I've always been too high on, but he is in some awesome form at the moment. And he's really showing why everyone should be taking him seriously. And why I'm picking him this week specifically, they're at home to Hawthorn, and Hawthorn are dreadful. You know that firsthand. You watched your Swannies absolutely tear them up. There's like witches' hats. So LDU, I think, is a lock. He's going to just eat a handful of goals potentially as well to really beef up that score.
What about that game-winning point on the weekend?
The man can do no
What the
wrong.
hell do
That
you,
that
man?
North club at the moment. That club at the moment, Clarko's got them humming. It's great to see. Who have you gone though? And you've also
Yeah.
got Kerm's pick, I believe, as well.
I do. So let me start off with Kerm's pick. Kerm has gone for the Nick Dacos play. Similar to myself, I did it last week. Kerm's gone this week. He's locking him in for 122 fantasy points. So going to one of the best in the comp early in the year to get some more points on the board. What's your thoughts on that, firstly?
Well, who have they got? They've got Richmond Friday night. Yeah. I mean, Dacos can score against anyone, so I don't really know why. I'm trying to figure out who they're playing against. But I watched him firsthand tear up Port Adelaide. He's a freak. Could he become the first ever player to win the Brownlow in his second year? Maybe. Stay tuned. So, yeah, not a bad pick from Kerm. He's increased his points this week, so he's feeling himself a little bit after he finally got on the board. Have you done the same, though?
Yeah, so look, a lot of midfielders going. We'll see what the community does tomorrow night. I'm very excited to see that. But I am steering away from the midfield this week. I'm going to one of the defenders. Now, this guy is currently in my team, and I've been loving what I've been seeing. So I thought I'm just going to double down, start him in my team, put him as my lock of the round. It's Mason Redmond from the Essendon Bombers. I'm picking him. I think he's going to have a good week this week. How good?
What'd you say,
118 fantasy points.
Yeah, right. No, that's good. I hope so. I like that pick. He's in my team as well. So he's one I'd happily hope he gets that at least that point, that amount of points. So yeah, good. That's a goodie.
Well, let's hope so. But guys, thank you so much for checking in for another episode of the Game Day Squad Aussie Rules Show. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you've made it this far. We really appreciate it. We've got our live stream tomorrow night, which a notification will be coming out about. Check it out. We've been giving away some cards in there. 6 cards for $1. We don't know who those players are going to be yet, but they could be some of the best in the comp or the worst. So download the app. Make sure you're ready to go for the live stream tomorrow night. And we'll catch you all later.